Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada, and welcome everyone to our Saturday morning reading and discussion of Bhagavad-gītā As It Is. And I want to thank Rupesh Chawan in Bombay for the wonderful kirtan that he put up before the beginning of the show, or the beginning of the show. And it brought back Mother Rochisha Devi Dasi such wonderful memories for anyone that was in the Association of Prabhupada and had a chance to participate in a program like we saw on the on the screen that Rupesh had discovered online. It was extremely wonderful experience. And it took me back in time. Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu and I had multiple occasions to attend the Guru Puja ceremonies of Srila Prabhupada when he was with us in his Vapu form. And it was extremely blissful to be a part of that. I have to, unfortunately or fortunately say that I had a chance to lead maybe 10 kirtans of Sri Guru Charana Padma to Srila Prabhupada personally, and have the kirtans. And I was looking at his face and thinking about the history that we're studying in the diaries, and Vijay Pandit Prabhu, and these diaries reveal a deep insight into Prabhupada's personal state of consciousness back in 1965-66 that is a privilege for us to critically examine, because most people do not do this, and it was only by transcendental intervention that we brought this section of our program to reality for all of our members, so that we're all studying very carefully every 3 days a week these pastimes of Prabhupada preaching. And we're seeing how he was evolving the mission. And it's his behavior in dealing with the situation in an intimate way, whether it was the robbery of his books, the robbery of his tape recorder, the robbery, the theft of his typewriter. We've already read through that, his living in the office at 310 below Mishra's place in New York City. His moving his moving now to the Bowery with Paul Murray and him staying with him. And this guy was a drug addict. Let's put it that way. In fact, he eventually will find out that Prabhupada had to leave out of danger for his life from this madman. So Prabhupada was bringing in people from whoever he could meet in his preaching efforts, and somehow or other trying to engage them in Krishna service. And then just see what happened. He kept going. He didn't stop. No matter what his circumstance, he kept trying to please his spiritual master. And look what happened. And we saw the video this morning. Amazing. And if you were looking at Prabhupada's face and you see him playing his cartel, it was trying to understand his position as this began to evolve from 0 people coming, no donations, no help, to a position where some people were there and making an effort, and he was getting results. And him personally experiencing this expansion of the mission and seeing how Krishna was helping him, and he's relating it specifically in the Bhagavad-gītā As It Is, in his purports. We know that he had written the Gita Upanishad introduction, which is an amazing 40-page introduction to the Gita, the 72 Gita that we read, the unedited version of Prabhupada's books. And it gives us real insight for all of us that are studying this on how wonderful Krishna worked to create this movement, and unfortunately, how it's deteriorated now to the present day. It is so tragic, really, unfortunate, tragic. And we're not excited about that. You know, we work on social media, as all of you know, if you go to our PDA site. We get lots of reaction, by the way. In less than a week, I've had 15,000 views of my posts. And the most recent post was very interesting because even though I didn't mention Giriraj and Indradumna in the post, I had a reaction from Rameshwar, Robert Grant, where he sent me a note publicly and he said, please remove me from these posts. I don't want to see them anymore. I don't want to see that Indradumna is, paraphrasing, I don't want to see him being minimized by you. Oh, I said, oh, really? I wrote him back, maybe you could give me the reason, because I never mentioned this fellow's name in this post. I didn't mention it. I actually quoted some philosophy for these people and for our memberships so that they could get an idea of what is the real situation with this fall down of Giriraj, which has once again, Vijaya Pandit, and you wrote such a nice thing. If anybody is on our PDA site, you can read it. Once again reveals the fraudulent behavior, misrepresentation of our philosophy by a few ambitious people that tried to usurp Prabhupada's position after his Vapu departure from this world. And I thought it was interesting, Vijaya Pandit, that you mentioned to Rameshwar, how is it that you are saying that you don't want to be a part of this when you were the one that supported the written statement that Prabhupada was a worker for hire with the BBT? A really interesting comment that you made, which is a fact. And what does it do? People like Rameshwar, people like Radhanath, people like Indradumna, they minimize this. And that is their offense. To minimize the orders of the spiritual master, to put him on the platform as a worker for hire? Well, on what basis? Can you imagine, Nilesh, if you're, say, a materially successful person, like, say, for example, Donald Trump. He's, I'm not promoting him, I'm just saying, can you imagine if he saw that statement about himself? He's just a person that works for the Trump organization. He's not just working for them. He is. Prabhupada is the bona fide representative of Lord Chaitanya. He is the representative of Bhaktisiddhanta, His Divine Grace, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj. He is the actual representative of the spiritual master that founded the Gaudiya Math. Not all these god brothers of his who destroyed the Gaudiya Math. They did. And Prabhupada has elaborately explained it. We're not going to go over it right now because we're running out of time. But he elaborately explains it in a variety of letters and information, how his god brothers destroyed the Gaudiya Math, which was a great institution, by whimsical behavior. And there is no difference than that situation and our situation, which has been destroyed by the whimsical behavior of a few people like Rameshwar. This person is totally, Nilesh, compromised. He's living in Mayapur now. They're letting him give Bhagavatam class. He's got some kind of a suite there where he can live comfortably and pass his time before he leaves his body in this delusional state that he is going to go back to Godhead because he lives there. Yeah, living there is fine. Maybe Krishna will allow it. Maybe Lord Chaitanya. I'm certainly not Krishna. But if you offend the spiritual master like he did, this fellow hardly did anything, really. It's a hoax. He never bought a temple. He was working there. He wasn't going out distributing books. He was promoting it. Okay. Did you actually go out? He didn't have a Sankirtan party. No, he never did that. Did you ever develop Rath-yatra? No, you didn't. What did you actually do, Mr. Big Mouth? That's what he is a big mouth, propagandist. And here, he makes this comment again, and he's exposed himself. And this Giriraj Prabhu, he has exposed himself, and he's exposed the whole fraudulent situation in that ISKCON world. And think about it like this, brothers. There is a conclusive evidence, facts, not given by us, given by other people. And still, these followers are confused. They're saying, oh, you're blasphemy. Yeah. They're saying it. We're seeing it. We understand it. We've been through it. And then you still think, oh, you guys are blasphemy. You're blasphemous people. Well, what does it further do for us, Nilesh? It proves to us how, and I thought your comment at the last program was very well done. It's been ringing in my mind for the last 2 days, the cheaters and the cheated. That's exactly, if you want to be cheated, if you want to be cheated, there'll be a lot of cheaters that will do that. And that is the ISKCON group that's falsely representing themselves as bona fide spiritual masters. And this Giriraj demonstrated after 3 affairs. What to speak of Bhaktivedanta Purna? What to speak of Keith Ham? What about the hundreds of examples of these bogus people misrepresenting our philosophy, our disciplic succession, and like the Gaudiya Math, they have destroyed ISKCON. Destroyed it philosophically. Unfortunately, yes. Destroyed it. And it's all Sahajya. And even some senior godbrothers, like we saw the other day at our program, Nilesh, still are confused, even if they have a PhD. Spiritual life is not based on academic study. It is based on service and surrender to the bona fide spiritual master. Yes, it is. And this is the reality of Krishna consciousness that a lot of people don't have. And this is very unfortunate, of course. And we wish them the best on their eternal journey in time, back home, back to Godhead, somehow or other. Lots of people are called. It's like Jesus said, many are called, few are chosen. And these people are not the chosen ones. So I really enjoy our programs, by the way. Today's kirtan was seeing Prabhupada chant with us. Very inspiring. And I hope all of you enjoyed it. And thank you, Rupesh Prabhu and Nilesh, for taking up the responsibility of keeping these classes online as a service to Prabhupada, not to us. Yeah, okay, it's helping us serve Prabhupada. But unless people are speaking out, unless people are telling the truth, then this whole thing is finished. And this will be a great tragedy. And it's wonderful that these programs, Nilesh and Rupesh and anybody else that can step up and become part of our production crew, you're welcome to join. Just get a hold of me and we'll be able to. We've still got to fix some of the slides. Remember, the class is not on Thursdays for the Chaitanya Charitamrita group. For the discussion, it is, or on Wednesday, I should say. It's on Thursday. And we've had a drop in the attendance for whatever reason. I mean, people come and go, I understand that. That's everything in life. but we would still like to see as many people on the panel and in the group for the benefit of other people in the future that see these programs that we're cataloging. We've got them online, over 400 programs, and we'll have thousands of them, and anybody can go to these programs in the future when we're no longer here, that's for sure. And they'll be able to hear Prabhupada disciples that are committed to this principle of protecting his legacy. Prabhupada in his books and in his teachings. We're going to go to the diaries, Prabhu's. We're going to go, I think I read last class, I reread the diaries, but they're ever fresh, and we're at April 6th. 1966. And, Prabhupada's moving forward. And we've got quite a few of them to read, so we'll get to it. April 6th, the sunrise was 5:32 a.m. Sunset was 6:33 p.m. Moonrise 8:19 p.m. Dvicha. Today I took meals at Dr. Mishra's place. He is not happy that I'm gradually shifting to Paul's place. Today received one letter from the Library of Congress, Waddington, is good news. The Library Congress card number. Expenditure was 15 cents. Paul purchased for me one pack, of carbon paper, 100 sheets, $2.50. At evening, there was a meeting. Green was absent. Still, there was 7 boys and girls. All attended the meeting carefully. Some of them brought rice, atta, and fruits. There was no collection. Expenditure was 15 cents. On Thursday, April 7th, sunrise 5:30 a.m., sunset 4:34 p.m., moonrise 9:37 p.m. Today I'm staying with Paul. I cook food and dine with Paul and Sakar. They like the food stuff, very nice. Circumstances seem to be favorable. Paul compromises to organize. He's enthusiastic. Let us see, he attended the morning class punctually on the 8th of April 1966. The sunrise was at 5:29 a.m. Sunset was at 6:36 p.m. and moonrise was 10:53. Chaturi. Today, the whole day and night. Also, I stayed at Mr. Paul's loft, saw Elsie to inquire about the Library of Congress card. Not very encouraging. Evening, there was a meeting. 7 boys and girls attended. 7 boys and girls. Contribution was $5 and some fruits also, and the expenditure was bus fare of 30 cents. On Saturday, April 19th, so he's pacing here through his month, keeping track. Sunrise 5:27 a.m., sunset 6:37 p.m. Panchami. Today I went to Dr. Mishra's apartment. He did leave the key with the doorman, so I had some difficulty to enter the room. The doorman opened the door by his keys, and by entering the room, I saw that doctor got my note. Anyway, I cooked some khichdi and took it because there was no flour. After a little rest, I took my typewriters and came down to my room at 72nd Street. From there, I came to Paul's loft, and in the evening, Sushman met me. He brought some grains. The subway fare was 30 cents, and Paul paid $2, so total expenditure was $2.30. I paid Paul, so he paid Paul $2. Sunday, April 10th, sunrise 5:25 a.m., sunset 6:38 p.m., moonrise 03 Sasti. Today, the whole day, I remained at Paul's loft and did not go out. I paid Paul $1 for expenses. So honorable. Today, I'm working on Mr. Cohen's big royal typewriter, and is a very good for hardworking. Paul is impressed with my mission in America. There was no income and expenditure of $1. On Monday, April 11th, 1966, sunrise was 5:23 a.m., sunset was 6:39 p.m., and moonrise Saptami today. I took meals with Dr. Mishra. The expenditure for Dr. Mishra TR was $5, paid to Paul for expenses $1. and bus fare 45 cents. So Prabhupada's chipping in every day. In the evening, there was a meeting. 7 gentlemen attended. The collection was $5. On Tuesday, April 12th, 1966, back in time. Sunrise, 5:21 a.m., sunset, 6:41 p.m., moonrise, 1:05 a.m. Astami today, I had been to New Delhi House. Mr. Mukherjee of Passport Department kept my undertaking and passport for necessary action on return on Monday the 18th. So he's moving forward, making sure nothing falters. Details, very, very detailed work. Paul paid for battery $1, bus fare was 30 cents, and total expenditure was $1.30. No money coming in. Wednesday, April 13th. Sunrise 5:20 a.m., sunset 6:42 p.m., moonrise 2:38 Navami. Today I received one letter from the Chief Assistant of the Government of New York. Wow, Paul's TR is all right. Expenditures, paid to Paul $1.50, bus fare 75 cents, expenditure $2.25. In the evening, 8 ladies and a gentleman attended the meeting, and I got $1 from them. Tragic. Anyway, $1 better than nothing. Sunrise, April 14th. Sunrise was 5:18 a.m. Sunset was 6:44 p.m. Moonrise was 3:12 a.m. Dashami, Elsie paid $31.50 for books, deposited with the bank $36. Paid Paul for expenses $1. Without fail. He's paying his way. Bus and subway fare 60 cents. Expenditures was $37.60. And income was $31.50. Friday, April 15th, sunrise 5:16 a.m., sunset 6:45 p.m., moonrise 3:39 a.m. Odyssey books delivered to Elsie, 2 sets of books for sale in charge of Paul. Expenditure was bus fare 60 cents. So you made 4 rides, I guess, or could have paid for someone else. Mr. Anderson, assistant to governor, met. He is a little sympathetic. He says that I may expect some news from the Asia Society, New York. Yolanda will take me to the ashram, Ananda ashram in the country tomorrow. He's expecting that at 2 p.m. Collections in the meeting was $4. Do we have any more? Yeah. Saturday, April 16th, sunrise 5:14 a.m., sunset 5:46 p.m., moonrise 4:01 a.m. Paid to Paul for expenditure $2, bus fare $2.72.15, Dwadasi $2.15. To Yolanda, took me to the ashram, and there was kirtan in the evening. Ananda ashram, he is leading the chanting of the holy name. Sunday, April 17th, sunrise 5:13 a.m., sunset 6:47 p.m., moonrise 4:21 a.m. Today up to 5 p.m. I was in the ashram, came back by 6:15 p.m. to 72. Paul was there. In the evening, I came back at Bowery with the suitcase. One book due to Elsie was delivered to her in the studio. Trio Dasi, expenditure was bus fare 30 cents. New expenditure paid to Paul 50 cents, book sale $10. Trio Dasi, and on Monday, last insert for today, Monday, April 18th, 1966, sunrise 5:12 a.m., sunset 6:49, moonrise 4:39, keeping track of time. Chaturdasi, today I took delivery of passport from the New India House. It is renewed to a period of 2 years more, up to the 9th of June, 1968. I wanted to see Mr. Bogart, but he was not there. I left one note for him. And expenditures, I paid Paul $1. He's pacing that money to support his living. He's not living for free. bus fare 30 cents, postage $1.10, $2.40, and his income was $2. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and his wonderful diaries, which reveal so much to his bona fide disciples in the line of disciplic succession from Srila Bhakti, His Divine Grace, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami, Srila Prabhupada, our Grand Spiritual Master, and our servant. We are serving in this mission, in this disciplic succession. We'll move forward with the chanting of Jaya Radha Madhava, led by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda, and then we'll have the reading and discussion along with our panel after from the Bhagavad-gītā As It Is, the unedited 1972 version of Prabhupada's amazing scripture. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hari Bol Prabhus.
Sai. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Jaya Radha Punya Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Samad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai, Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivas Adi Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Sri Radha Krishna Go Gopinath Sam Kund Radha Kund Giridhavan ki jai, Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Navadvip Dham ki jai, Swami Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Ganga Mai ki jai, Jamuna Mai ki jai, Tulasi Devi ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Swami Bhaktivinoda ki jai. All glories to the assembled Lord. All glories to the assembled Lord. Thank you very much.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. O my Lord, Sri Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. From Srimad Bhagavatam 1:1:1. Narayanam namaskrityam. Narayanam namaskrityam. Naram cheva narottamam. Naram cheva narottamam. Devim Saraswatim Vyasam. Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet. Tato Jayam Mudirayet. One should utter the means of conquest, Srimad Bhagavatam and Srimad Bhagavad-gītā, after offering respectful obeisances, 1, to the personality of Godhead Narayana, 2, to the Narayana Rishi, who is the supremmost human being, 3, to the Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, then 4, to Srila Vyasadeva, the author, from Srimad Bhagavatam 1-4. Welcome everyone to this reading and discussion on Srimad Bhagavad-gītā. As we do every week, we will be repeating, chanting a few of the shlokas and mantras which were introduced by Srila Prabhupada himself in New York in early 1966. These particular shlokas were chosen by Srila Prabhupada in the beginning of his lecture series on Bhagavad-gītā. Om Ajnana-timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Sri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Svapadantikam. When will Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, who has established within this material world the mission to fulfill the desire of Lord Chaitanya, give me shelter under his lotus feet? Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahaguna Raghunathan Anvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master and unto the feet of all Vaishnavas. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of Srila Rupa Goswami, along with his elder brother Sanatan Goswami, as well as Raghunath Dasa and Raghunath Bhatta, Gopala Bhatta, and Srila Jiva Goswami. I offer my respectful obeisances to Lord Krishna Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, along with Advaita Acharya, Gadadhar, Srivas, and other associates. I offer my respectful obeisances to Srimati Radharani and Sri Krishna, along with their associates Sri Lalita and Vishaka. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kantarada Kantanamostute. Oh, my dear Krishna, you are the friend of the distressed and the source of creation. You are the master of the gopis and the lover of Radharani. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. I offer my respects to Radharani, whose bodily complexion is like molten gold, and who is the queen of Vrindavana. You are the daughter of King Vrishabhanu, and you are very dear to Lord Krishna. Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaham. I offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord who can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like desire trees, and who are full of compassion for the fallen souls. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Welcome everyone to this reading and discussion. This reading is conducted on the basis of the original 1972 authorized Macmillan edition, the non-interpolated, non-adulterated version, all synonyms, translations, and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda, Founder-Ācārya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, also known as the Krishna Consciousness Movement. This week, we will be reading from chapter 11. Idanim asmi samvrittaha sachetaha prakritim gataha Arjuna uvacha. Arjuna said, Drishtva, seeing, idam, this, manusham, human being, rupam, form, tava, your, saumyam, very beautiful, janardana, O chastiser of the enemies. Idanim, just now, asmi, I am, samvritaha, settled, sachetaha, in my consciousness, prakritim, my own, gataha, I am. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. When Arjuna thus saw Krishna in his original form, he said, seeing this human-like form so very beautiful, my mind is now pacified and I'm restored to my original nature. Purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Here the words Manusham Rupam clearly indicate the Supreme Personality of Godhead to be originally two-handed. Those who deride Krishna to be an ordinary person are shown here to be ignorant of his divine nature. If Krishna is like an ordinary human being, then how is it possible for him to show the universal form and again to show the four-handed Narayana form. So it is very clearly stated in Bhagavad-gītā that one who thinks that Krishna is an ordinary person and misguides the reader by claiming that it is the impersonal Brahman within Krishna speaking is doing the greatest injustice. Krishna is actually shown his universal form in his four-handed Vishnu form. So how can he be an ordinary human being? A pure devotee is not confused by misguiding commentaries on Bhagavad-gītā because he knows what is what. The original verses of Bhagavad-gītā are as clear as the sun. They do not require lamplight from foolish commentators. Om Ajnana-timirandasya jnananjana shalakaya chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai shigurave namah. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Bhakti Siddhanta Shishyaya Bhaktivedanta Namine Prasannaya Prashantaya Tasmai Shugurave Namaham Bhagavad Vandanam Kadyam Guru Vandana Purvakam Kshiram Sharkara Yuktam Kadate Hibisheshatah Adadana Strinam Danteridam Yachi Punah Punah Srimad Rupa Padam Bhoja Dhulishyam Janma Janmani Amsho Bhagavatusmyaham Sadadaso Asmi Sarvatam Tat Kripa Pikshako Nityam Tat Prishta Shatkaromi Svam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So here in this verse of Bhagavad-gītā, Srila Prabhupada is explaining very nicely the position of Sri Krishna, the original personality of Godhead. These two Sanskrit words, Manusham Rupam, Prabhupada explains, here the words Manusham Rupam clearly indicate the Supreme Personality of Godhead to be originally two-handed. Now, this is very important because there are some Vaishnava Sampradayas who advocate that Lord Narayana or Vishnu is the original personality of Godhead and Lord Krishna is simply an incarnation. Now, this is a very vast topic, which would probably take considerable amount of time to be dealt in full. But basically, the position of Srila Prabhupada and our acharyas in the Gaudiya Sampradaya, such as Jiva Goswami, Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Baladev Vidyabhushana, our position is based upon the Srimad Bhagavatam, Iti che amsakala pumsa Krishna stu Bhagavan Swayam, that Lord Krishna is the original personality of Godhead, and all the incarnations are coming from him. Both Jiva Goswami and Rupa Goswami have supported that contention by quoting from the Brahma Samhita, the first verse of the 5th chapter, Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govindaha Sarva Karana Karanam, and also from the same Brahma Samhita, where it is explained, Ramadi Murtishu Kala Niyamena Tishtan Nana Vataram Akarad Bhuvaneshu Kintu Krishna Swayam Samabhavat Paramahpumanyo Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Now, this is a very important verse because it explains and supports the position of the Srimad Bhagavatam that the original form of Lord Krishna, this two-handed form, is the original. Krishna Swayam Samabhavat Paramapumanyo. that this is the original of all the forms of Godhead. Now, some people sometimes misunderstand and say that we are ascribing a difference between the different incarnations and the different forms of Krishna. Well, there is a difference and there is not a difference. It's called Beda Abeda. There is a difference in the sense that all these incarnations have different names, different pastimes according to time, place, circumstances, different yugas. And also at the same time, it is explained in the Brahma Samhita that these incarnations are like the light coming from a candle. If you take one original candle and light up another candle, both candles have the same power. They are the same light, but one of them is the original candle. This is also explained in the Brahma Samhita. It's interesting to note that Bhaktivedanta Thakur in his writing has made a commentary. This was originally done in Bengali and translated by one of Prabhupada's disciples. He's made a commentary explaining the 9 original fundamental principles of Madhva philosophy that were enunciated by Vyasatirtha, one of the acharyas in our disciplic succession. Bhaktivedanta Thakur made a comment on it according to Baladev Vidyabhushana's writing, where he explains these same fundamental principles according to Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy. It's called the Prameya Ratnavali in the first chapter. Bhaktivedanta Thakur commented on it. And it's very interesting to see how the Vaishnava Acharyas never picked a fight amongst themselves. There's no record of Baladev Vidyabhushana fighting with the Madhvas or the Ramanujas. This only came recently with the advent of the internet and some self-named, self-styled pundits who've tried to find fault with the philosophy of the Gaudiya Acharyas, specifically Srila Prabhupada. Well, we're not going to deal with that. It suffices to say that for us, because one time we went to Srila Prabhupada in Vrindavan, and we related a conversation we had with one of the Swamis in Udupi, the Swami of the Admar Mat. We met him in 1972 around Janmashtami. And his position was that Krishna is an incarnation. We say, no, Krishna is the original. And we very politely did not engage in a furious, long debate with this gentleman. So when we came back to Srila Prabhupada and explained to him that encounter, Srila Prabhupada's position is as well, Krishna is not different than Vishnu, and Vishnu is not different than Krishna. But according to our acharyas in the Gaudiya Sampradaya, we take the view that Krishna is the original personality of Godhead. And Prabhupada quoted these 2 verses from the Brahma Samhita that I just mentioned. So the point is, the Bhagavad-gītā is very clear. Krishna, Srila Prabhupada explains in a purport, Krishna is actually shown as universal form and his 4-handed Vishnu form. So how can he be an ordinary human being? We don't ascribe that one incarnation is higher than the original. The English word original just mentions that he is the original form. There's also in the Srimad Bhagavatam, this is in Canto 10, Chapter 14, called the Brahma Vimohana Lila. There is a Sanskrit verse, Narayana Angam Tava Sarvadinam, that your form is the original form from whom Lord Narayana has come. This is also explained in detail in the Chaitanya Charitamrita in the Adi Lila, chapter 1 and 2. Now, some of these discussions are fairly technical, and a lot of time in this program, we take time to analyze current events, current social events, and political events which have taken place in the society, in the Krishna conscious society that claims to follow Prabhupada, that claims to follow his teachings. The reason I'm bringing this up is yesterday I had to go to a little town called Soulsbyville, interesting name, and get a few supplies. On my way back up, I got a call from our good friend Neil Shyama Prabhu from Florida. And we were discussing a few very important points of why it is so important for Vaishnavas not to avoid discussions of controversial topics. And the reason for that is that when we look at the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishna Das Kaviraj himself takes the position, he has a very famous Bengali verse, Siddhanta Balyachite Nakara Alas. The Bengali word alas means laziness. One should not be lazy in the matter of discussing Siddhanta. Why? Because by such discussion, Sudrida Manas, he uses this word, one will be firmly convinced, his mind will become firmly convinced. So the reason why occasionally we bring up these topics of certain individuals or certain events is to understand what is authorized and what is not authorized, what is bona fide and what is not bona fide. So when we see some so-called acharyas or pseudo-acharyas, or more properly, self-appointed acharya, put in the public records in Washington, D.C., USA, that Srila Prabhupada was a worker for hire, well, I'm sorry, we object. We're not going to hear this nonsense, this blasphemy, and this ridiculous criticism of Srila Prabhupada, portray him as a worker for their corporation and remain silent. If they're prepared to argue, well, this was just a technical mistake, for whatever you did, it is an offense against the Acharya, and it is multiplied thousands of times by putting it in the public record. No Vaishnava should ever hear this blasphemy and tolerate this. And this has shown the mentality and the mindset of these people. How they mistreated Srila Prabhupada, misrepresented him. They refused to discuss Prabhupada's instructions in 1978. They falsely conveyed to the whole society that they had been appointed as Prabhupada's successors and initiating acharyas. All of these are falsehoods, prevarications, and lies, and no one should fall for it. No one should fall for it. This is very important, very important. Just as part of this program, I just put on the chat something here. Let me just read it because I just want to make sure we understand this point. Srila Prabhupada says, this is from the Nectar of Devotion. Srila Prabhupada said, the spiritual master must never be carried away by an accumulation of wealth or a large number of followers. A bona fide spiritual master will never become like that. But sometimes, if a spiritual master is not properly authorized, let me repeat that here so we're very clear. If a spiritual master is not properly authorized and only on his own initiative becomes a spiritual master, he may be carried away by an accumulation of wealth and large number of disciples. His is not a very high grade of devotional service. If a person is carried away by such achievements, then his devotional service becomes slackened. One should therefore strictly adhere to the principles of disciplic succession. This is from the Nectar of Devotion, I believe, chapter 13. Now, what is important here, Srila Prabhupada, when one is not properly authorized, it should be put on the record, these original 11 were never authorized by Srila Prabhupada as Diksha Gurus. This is all due to mental speculation and nonsensical interpretation and disobedience of Prabhupada's instruction, as well as disobedience of Prabhupada's instruction for the society to be managed according to the direction of management, where there would be proper election of GBCs every 3 years. That particular point is a separate point for a separate discussion. But the point is, the reason where people have manifested these nonsense and disgraceful fall downs and scandalous behaviors is because they were never authorized. They did this on their own. Prabhupada very clear in this discussion. When somebody does it on their own initiative, this is what happens. When we try to discuss this with them, Their attitude was, we've already discussed everything, they should just accept, like some kind of communist dictatorship. No. Devotees should not accept things blindly. We're not blind followers. This is a bogus idea that has infiltrated the society, followed by another bogus idea that was forwarded in 1986 during the pseudo-reform or so-called reform, where they came up with this idea of voting and electing acharyas. What is that? Where does Prabhupada ever describe that you elect somebody to the position of acharya? That is simply nonsense. Prabhupada has never supported that. That is why open discussion is so important. Let's open the discussion now. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Glories to Prabhupada. Thank you for your bona fide explanation of today's purport and verses from the Bhagavad-gītā As It Is. And Prabhupada did encourage us, everyone, to critically study his books individually and together. So our program is to encourage all of us to have a reading program in your weekly schedule. Yes, a reading program that will illuminate your consciousness in terms of understanding this very valuable science of Krishna consciousness and get out of the entanglement of material life and go back home, back to Godhead at the critical moment of death. Be properly prepared for that. And this is the idea, is preparation, opportunity. It is utilized when there is proper preparation. Without preparation, you cannot be in a position to take advantage of opportunity. And we're in an opportunity situation where we are getting a clear understanding of Guru Tattva, which is the key to the mystery of material life. And it's a very rare opportunity to get this situation in our lives, very rare. And we should not minimize it or take a role of indifference towards it. You can, that's fair. And we accept that. We've seen in our development of our programs online that lots of people come and go. And this is a revelation of consciousness, the conscious confusion of people who are motivated out of their own personal false ego. And they just stay in that false ego position. You know, over 55 years of being involved with the mission, we've experienced this hundreds and hundreds of times. It's not just one time we came to the game and we go, oh, look what happened. Like when you're involved with the Sankirtan mission, you get experience if you take part in it. If you don't, you get no experience. There's no mistakes. We all make mistakes. I've made mistakes. Everyone here may admit to that. But that doesn't mean that if you make a mistake, if you don't repent, if you have no contrition, then how can you possibly continue on and claim to be a devotee? Well, you can't. Fall down is there, but you pick yourself up, you keep going. That is the basis of every action in this world. Because lots of people, they struggle. Like, for example, financially. Personally, I've lost millions and millions of dollars in my business career. It was very depressing, actually. And so, but this was, now I see a blessing because I'm less entangled. You get entangled in life because you're involved in trying to become a big shot. Just like in ISKCON, the more you get involved Yaśodā-nandana was mentioning about accumulation of followers. Oh, I want to get all these followers, 50, 60, 10,000, 50,000, 60,000, 75. Get entangled. Go ahead. See how good your life goes. It becomes self-evident what happens to you. So our program is, okay, we're mentioning these comments because after we get off the air, or when it's recorded and put on the air for permanent reference, as long as the internet is there, we get an idea of how we should conduct ourselves 7 days a week. 52 weeks in a year, and so many years that we're allowed to live here. And I wanted to highlight a few points from my reading of the Bhagavad-gītā As It Is. And I have to say, Prabhus, I'm lamenting that I'm finishing it. And I'm trying to figure out what I want to go ahead and start reading again, because I'm on this steady, like all of you, I'm sure, on a steady program of study in association with our spiritual master in sound. So I'm trying to figure it out, but nonetheless, instead of lamenting, we'll go to these sections. And I wanted to highlight them for us all this morning from the Gita, and we'll go to chapter 18, and we'll pick up just some verses and a few points in the purports that highlight what we're saying as a reminder of how we have to see ourselves in relation to a bona fide spiritual master, not the confused, misrepresented philosophy of so many people. So we're at text 63. I'm going to just read thank you. Thus I have explained to you the most confidential of all knowledge. Deliberate on this fully and then do what you wish to do. So Krishna is giving us our own independent position to decide what we are going to do. And Prabhupada says, we'll go down in the purport, Arjuna is being directly ordered by the personality of Godhead. A little farther down, please. Arjuna is being directly ordered by the personality of Godhead to fight. Surrender to, down at the bottom, Nilesh, go down. Arjuna is being directly ordered by the personality of Godhead to fight. Surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead is in the best interest of the living entities. It is not for the interest of the Supreme. Before surrendering, one is free to deliberate on the subject as far as intelligence goes. Independent free will. That is the best way to accept the instruction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And here's the key statement, Prabhus. Such instructions come also through the spiritual master, the bona fide representative of Krishna. That's Srila Prabhupada. And we'll go to text 67. This confidential knowledge may not be explained to those who are not austere or devoted or engaged in devotional service, nor to one who is envious of me or the spiritual master. You'll have to bring that up, Prabhu. Zoom in on it, on that section. So here we have, I'll get this section here. Excuse me. Actually, the purpose of Bhagavad-gītā, okay, persons who have not undergone the austerities of the religious process, who have never attempted devotional service in Krishna consciousness, who have not tended a pure devotee. Prabhupada uses this term, tended a pure devotee. And especially those who are conscious of Krishna as a historical personality or who are envious of the greatness of Krishna should not be told this most confidential part of knowledge. It is, however, sometimes found that even demoniac persons who are envious of Krishna and Prabhupada, worshiping Krishna and Prabhupada in a different way, take to the profession of explaining Bhagavad-gītā in a different way to make business, the guru business. But anyone who desires actually to understand Krishna must avoid such commentaries on Bhagavad-gītā. Commentaries. And there are some, even within our group. We're told, in the ISKCON group that is, we're told here specifically, not me, not you, not Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu. We're being told by Srila Prabhupada, avoid such commentaries like the commentaries of Jayadvaita, the commentaries of Radhanath, complete Sahajiyas. Actually, the purpose of Bhagavad-gītā is not understandable to those who are sensuous, like Giriraj. Even if one is not sensuous but is strictly following the in disciplines and joining the Vedic scriptures, if he is not a devotee, he also cannot understand Krishna. Even when one poses himself as a devotee of Krishna, but is not engaged in Krishna conscious activities, he cannot understand Krishna. No, not bona fide. There are many persons who envy Krishna and Srila Prabhupada because he has explained in Bhagavad-gītā that he is the supreme and nothing is above him or equal to him. There are many persons who are envious of Krishna. Such persons should not be told of Bhagavad-gītā, for they cannot understand. There is no possibility of faithless persons understanding Bhagavad-gītā and Krishna without understanding Krishna from the authority, here it is, of a pure devotee. One should not try to comment upon Bhagavad-gītā. Why make it up? Jayadvaita. That's what you did. And you'll suffer for that, my friend. And here, finally, 72. Verse 72 from the Bhagavad-gītā, and you can read these on your own time back at your residence, no problem. O conqueror of wealth, Arjuna, you've heard this attentively with your mind, and your illusions and ignorance are now dispelled for all of us. The Lord was acting as the spiritual master of Arjuna, purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda. Therefore, it was his duty to inquire from Arjuna whether he understood the whole Bhagavad-gītā in its proper perspective. If not, the Lord was ready to re-explain any point or the whole Bhagavad-gītā if all so required. Here is the key, Prabhus. Actually, anyone who hears Bhagavad-gītā from a bona fide spiritual master like Krishna or his representative, Srila Prabhupada, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda. Let's say it and understand it very clearly here, not some kind of group that are elected by a GBC body. We will find that all his ignorance is dispelled. Bhagavad-gītā is not an ordinary book written by a poet or fiction writer. It is spoken by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Any person, if he is fortunate enough to hear these teachings from Krishna, here we go, or from his bona fide spiritual representative, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda, is sure to become a liberated person and get out of the darkness of ignorance. And he will not be cheated by the cheaters. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Is this clear? Is it clear without any confusion? Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, please, if you could further elaborate. Microphone, please.
Yep, I got it.
Thank you.
Well, things are very clear because sometimes we're being accused of giving our own opinions or our own ideas. No, what we heard there is directly from Srila Prabhupada. Just like we heard earlier from the Nectar of Devotion. Nectar of Devotion are the direct words of Rupa Goswami as translated and presented by Srila Prabhupada. So when Prabhupada explains that if somebody takes up the position of guru on their own initiative, and Prabhupada mentions a bona fide spiritual master will never become like that, we can easily put 2 and 2 together. That the reason that there are so many problems because there was original disobedience of Prabhupada's instruction. In the middle 1970s, Srila Prabhupada wrote a letter to one of his leaders in Southern California. And Prabhupada says, if there are any defects in our society, that means that the instructions of the spiritual master are not being followed. And it was all instruction, all guidance, everything is there. If somebody conceals the instruction, refuses to have open discussion, that is why there is a problem. As a matter of fact, many individuals who tried to have these discussions were threatened with physical violence. Some of them were threatened with assassination. One of them was assassinated in Los Angeles in 1986. So this has all the characteristics of a cult, of a mindless nonsense cult. Do you think that Jim Jones in Guyana, before he told the people to drink the Kool-Aid, that they had an open discussion? No, they were told just to follow. And it's the same mentality that we have with this cult, this nonsense cult that presents itself as the authorities in the Krishna Consciousness movement. But people should not ask questions, should just accept. In other words, just take your parampara problem, just don't ask too many questions. And if you have the audacity to ask too many questions, like what happened to Ron Singh in Sacramento, we can beat you up, kick you out, drive you away. No, this is not Vaishnavism. This is Sahajiya nonsense. Simply Sahajiya nonsense. And people should not be fooled by it. You should not hear from such people. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Prabhu, yes, Prabhu. And the point is, and we'll move to the panel, but I wanted to talk first just briefly about dissension. You see, dissenters are common in many organizations. It's a very common thing. And whether it's a government or a franchise system, the dissension is something that has to be professionally dealt with. And you do it by dialogue with open-minded study of the principles of the corporation or the organization like the ISKCON group here. I mean, this is all about philosophy. And there should be open discussion between dissenters, not, I quit, like this Romeshwar fellow. Oh, I don't want to discuss, just take me off. Yeah, banish, banishment and persecution and punishment, defamation. That's not the way you deal with dissenters. You have to discuss, like you're mentioning, Prabhu, you have to discuss maturely, without anger, without violence, and as a collective group, get a proper understanding. And you argue on the basis of Shastra. You don't just give your opinion. We were reading from the Gita this morning, and I read those valuable sections from the 18th chapter. Was it my opinion? No, it was a critical study that we were sharing of Prabhupada's. And when the spiritual master speaks, Nilesh, it's Shastra. It's not just a Sanskrit verse. It's Prabhupada's beautiful purports, which bring us into this transcendental reality that he's in and sharing it, summarizing the philosophy so concisely for us people, especially us Western people, who were not brought up in this culture. We weren't. We've been enlisted in it by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. And we're learning by the grace of the bona fide spiritual master. And We're going to move forward with our panel. We have Dharma Bhavana in Dallas, Texas. We're going to ask Tom Chevrolet to speak, and Nilesh Sharma and Chaitanya Das, just to give everybody a warning. And we'll start with Dharma Bhavana Prabhu in Dallas, Texas. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. I'd like to read from Bhagavad-gītā, chapter 16, text number 18. And also mention
Chapter 16, what was the verse?
Yeah, chapter 16, text 18.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And about 10 months ago, I decided to get an iPad. Somebody told me an iPad was good for communication. And I found that this 10th generation iPad that I have is really good for attending the Zoom classes.
Oh.
The audio is really, really good. The video is really good. And it's easy to operate for people who like things that are easy to operate. Usually I get something after it comes out about 10 years. So that's what I did. All right, text 18. Bewildered by false ego, strength, pride, lust, and anger, the demon becomes envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is situated in his own body and in the bodies of others, and blasphemes against the real religion. Purport. A demoniac person, being always against God's supremacy, does not like to believe in the scriptures. He is envious of both the scriptures and of the existence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is caused by his so-called prestige and his accumulation of wealth and strength. He does not know that the present life is a preparation for the next life. Not knowing this, he is actually envious of his own self as well as of others. He commits violence on other bodies and on his own. He does not care for the supreme control of the personality of Godhead because he has no knowledge. Being envious of the scriptures and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he puts forward false arguments against the existence of God and refutes the scriptural authority. He thinks himself independent and powerful in every action. He thinks that since no one can equal him in strength, power, or in wealth, he can act in any way and no one can stop him. If he has an enemy who might check the advancement of his sensual activities, he makes plans to cut him down by his own power. Okay, that's good. Also, thank you, Haribo.
Very insightful. We'll move forward. I did get a message from Tom in Germany, who is very inquisitive on these matters, and we want to thank him for his attendance at the programs. But he was going to pass on making comments in the panel this morning. We'll move forward with Chaitanya Prabhu, wherever he is, if he's on the road, if he can speak. Generally, he's got the microphone with the car.
Hare Krishna.
Haribol.
Hare Krishna. Please accept my apologies.
Where's the Prabhupada? Thank you.
Just want to comment about how in today's purport, chapter 11, text 51, Prabhupada writes that Arjuna wanted to see the four-handed Virat Rupa, not for his own understanding, but it was for our understanding. So in future, if anybody professes that he is God, that he is incarnation of Krishna, incarnation of Vishnu, that is the test. That, okay, if you are incarnation, show the Virat Rupa, show your Virat Rupa, show the four-handed Narayan form. And so same thing in the previous text also, Prabhupada writes how when Krishna before he was born to Mother Devaki, he had the four-handed Narayana form was in front of his parents, Vasudeva and Devaki. So this idea that there's many pretenders, especially in India, oh, I am God, this person is God. So many pretenders are out there, so many gurus are out there. They're all sahajiyas pretending and misleading so many innocent lives out there. And in order for you to find the original truth, the only way you can get that is from bona fide teachings, bona fide sampradaya, bona fide acharya. And without that, it's not possible for us to be able to understand. They'll be easily misled, and it's not possible to understand without having the proper knowledge from the parampara, from beginning from Krishna himself. There's my understanding of Hare Krishna.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate and support what you said. Yes, and let's be definite about this. Because I noticed in the video this morning in this kirtan that Prabhupada was sitting in the Vyasasan chanting with us. And there were no Indian people in the room, none. And there's a reason why Prabhupada left India, because none of these people would listen to him. And even we're seeing this going on. So there's so much confusion there, no question. And Prabhupada is the person that you take shelter of, period. There is nobody else, nobody that's in the disciplic succession representing Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. That is what we know is the fact. And this movement, which is spread all over the world, is because of Srila Prabhupada, period. Nileshama.
One other line here. Sorry,
Yeah,
Prabhu.
go ahead. Just
It
to
says,
support
a
what
pure
you're saying.
devotee is not confused by misguiding commentaries.
Yes.
And he knows what is what. The original Bhagavad-gītā verses are clear as the sun. It is very easy to understand if there's no motive of what you're trying to interpret it something else than what is actually being taught. If there's other motives are in there, then sorry to say, the cheaters are going to be led by they're going to be led by the cheaters. That is, Prabhupada has said that in many lectures.
Yes,
So,
Prabhu.
go ahead. Sorry.
It's blissful. It's blissful to hear it, eh? Chaitanya, Prabhu? It's blissful to hear this, isn't
Yes.
it?
Yes. Yeah.
Very
That is
blissful.
exactly. Prabhu. Yes.
It's crystal clear.
Yes.
It is, and I don't want anyone to feel that we're being, harsh or whatever. We're only speaking because we're enthusiastic. That's it. We're enthusiastic to tell the truth. Neela Shama in Florida. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Jai.
Very interesting topics which are going on today. And many a times, a lot of people say that, why do you focus on negativity? Remember, even in mundane subject matters, like when we go for any conferences like medical or dental conferences, everybody likes to show what works and how beautiful their work is and how everything works. But as Krishna says in the Bhagavad-gītā chapter 18, that every work in this material world is associated with some kind of dosha, some kind of a problem associated. And the analogy is given that whenever there is fire, there is smoke associated with it. So whatever work we do, there is some dosha associated. So number one, we have the luxury over here to understand Srila Prabhupada's position and what happens if we don't listen to Srila Prabhupada's instructions. You see, so not only it is important for us to follow Srila Prabhupada's instructions, but when somebody comes and says, oh, I'm just going to change it a little bit, and that little bit changes into a little bit more, what happens? A consequence of that, we have the luxury to see it in 2024 today. You see?
Yes.
We see what has happened when you don't listen to the Guru Maharaj and you fight for the position of an Acharya from Gaudiya Math. We see the position where nobody is appointed, but then suddenly they get appointed. And so, it reminds me as why we are so, particular about not changing Srila Prabhupada's books. I'm sure Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu can give us the details about when and where this happened, but in a rough part I've read is that in Mayapur, Prabhupada was asked this question, Prabhupada, why did you come down to this material world? And Prabhupada has explained over there that he did not want to come down to this material world. This proves two things, and I'll continue with the conversation and then talk to you about it, is that I did not want to come down to this material world, but Krishna said, I want you to go down and I'll make things comfortable for you and you need to write books for me. So Krishna actually dictated these books to Prabhupada, and Prabhupada has given us these interpretations through direct instructions from Krishna. We got to understand this part. And I want Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, if he can elaborate on this particular point. So there are two aspects which is done. Number one, we should not change the books because these are direct dictations from Krishna. And number two, it proves it to us that Prabhupada was a Nitya Siddha individual.
Yes.
He was from Golok Vrindavan and has come down from Golok Vrindavan for only one purpose and one purpose only. What is that? To help Krishna reclaim the fallen souls or the conditioned souls of this particular material world. So he did not acquire this sudden realizations on his own. Unlike when I've seen is that a certain individual, when I go to a certain temple, nobody has given him respect. And then suddenly the GBC gives him the stamp of Swami. And the moment he enters into the room, everybody starts prostrating towards him. You see, this acquisition of divinity does not happen in this material world. Prabhupada has shown us the Acharyas come from the transcendental realm just for this particular purpose. You know, and I wish Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu can elaborate on this particular part, why we should not change, because these are direct dictations from Krishna through Srila Prabhupada. And number three, I want to ask is when Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu went to Udupi and they were talking about that no, Vishnu is the Supreme Personality or Narayan is it possible, and this is my conjecture, please correct me if I'm wrong, is that the Maha Mantra for the Shri Sampradaya is Om Namo Narayanaya. So according to their Maha Mantra, Narayan is the Supreme, while our Maha Mantra given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So I would beg Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu to please give his opinion. Hare Krishna.
Well,
Yes.
thank you for the questions. With regard to Srila Prabhupada and his books, to understand Srila Prabhupada's position, I mean, we don't need to speculate. Prabhupada has explained his position in his books in many different purports, different explanations. This is not something that is difficult to understand. As a matter of fact, Narasimha Prabhu and myself have compiled a little booklet called The Unique Historical Position of Srila Prabhupada. It's going to be released also with Vijay Pandit Prabhu in Italy. And basically it explains Prabhupada's position from a Nitya Siddha perspective as an associate of Krishna in the spiritual world who came there to spread Krishna consciousness and to bring Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings. I'm just going to quote from a lecture in Bombay on April 6th, 1971. Namo Mahavadanyaya. So there is a program of Krishna. Sometimes he comes himself. Sometimes he comes himself. Sometimes he comes as a devotee. Sometimes he leaves behind him instructions like Bhagavad-gītā. Sometimes he authorizes somebody to preach this cult. Of course, anyone who is a sincere devotee is authorized. Now, when we read something like this is Prabhupada's humility, but he's basically revealing when he says, sometimes he authorizes somebody to preach this cult. Now, in order to preach this cult of Krishna consciousness, this is not for the neophyte. This is for the liberated soul. Prabhupada says in Sri Upanishad, mantra number 10, from his kingdom, the personality of Godhead sends his bona fide servants to propagate this message by which one can return to Godhead, and sometimes the Lord comes himself to do this work. So when we have Prabhupada's books, for example, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita Antalila, chapter 5, text 71, Srila Prabhupada explains, when the spiritual master speaks, it's to be understood that the supreme personality of Godhead is speaking through him. When Prabhupada is speaking these books, this means this is Krishna speaking through Srila Prabhupada. There's a very interesting story how one of his leading managers went to him and said, Prabhupada, can you please hurry up and translate your books faster? We'd like to produce the books faster. Prabhupada says, obviously you do not understand. these these purports are my devotional ecstasies. And no disciple is authorized to change these devotional ecstasies on the plea of grammatical correctness or grammatical embellishment. That is not to be done. That is incorrect and offensive. Now, with regards, I didn't get all of your other questions. As far as the conversations with the Swami and Udupi, they were very nice to us, actually. They treated us very nice. And several years later, Achyutananda Swami and myself went back to Udupi for a preaching program, and we met the same Swami that I had met with Guru Kripa Swami in 1972. And we had longer discussion with this individual. And Achyutananda Swami very expertly presented these few quotations that I gave earlier and explained to him that according to our Gaudiya Vaishnavacharyas, we accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Swami very tactfully says, well, it's sometimes very difficult to discuss these issues in full because many of the original scriptures and original commentaries are not available. And the invaders who came to India from the West, the different invaders, they destroyed so many of the Shastras and commentaries. So he was trying to escape having a confrontation. But basically, Prabhupada's attitude was very simple, that we follow our acharyas. They have given the Siddhanta in the conclusion, and basically that's what we follow. It's not like a very difficult issue to understand. So I'll leave it at that for now, unless you have some additional clarification.
We're going to wind up the program. We're already at 11:40. So we do thank everyone for participating again today in our weekly programs. And we hope that you get some insights through the association of devotees. Guru Shastra Sadhu. This is the principle to make a spiritual advancement. It's not a concoction, it is a formula. And we all are aware of it. And we do appreciate your participation, everyone, in making this a reality for not only ourselves, but for other people. Anyone who explains this science to others, he is most dear to Krishna. And his deliverance is guaranteed, as we know in the Gita. So we're simply making an effort to draw the attention of Krishna. Do not try to see Krishna, but act in such a way that Krishna will see you. And with all of you participating, like Vijaya Pandit and Nilesh and Dharma Bhavana, Radharani, Trilok Vijaya in Alachua, Bhaktakaran, Chaitanya Das, Harish, all these wonderful Prabhus that are making this work for the benefit of others. You're blessed by Krishna, by Prabhupada. And again, this is your preparation for going back to Godhead. And propagate this, please. Let's try to attract other sincere souls that don't want to be cheated, because you will be if you don't restrict your association from this other group. I thought it was interesting, Nilesh, the conversation on Thursday with certain people in the panel and how they just can't get it. Whatever. They just don't have the capacity. But we'll keep trying. Eh, Prabhu? We'll keep trying. We're not going to stop. We're going to keep going.
As we always say that we will present the truth. What people do with the truth, that is their prerogative.
That's it. You know, scholarly study of the Shastra does not guarantee prema bhakti. You can study all you want. I had an experience, sorry Prabhu for extending, with Professor Joseph O'Connell in Toronto, who was in charge of Vaishnava studies at the university. And when I was in Toronto as the president, I used to speak every year there. I was in India at Gaur Purnima, and I met him at the Ganges River. It was quite interesting. And then I remember him saying to me, I'm not really sure if God exists. I thought, geez, how could you be a professor of Vaishnava studies and not know Krishna or Lord Chaitanya as the Supreme Lord? And the reason is because it's not achieved through scholarly austerity. It's revealed within the heart of the devotee through devotional service to the spiritual master. When you please the spiritual master, you please Krishna, and Krishna is within our hearts. He will reveal the truth to you. That's our philosophy. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and the Sankirtan mission. And thank you, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow for Srimad. My favorite. All the classes are my favorites, but I do really look forward to Srimad Bhagavatam and from the Delhi Bhagavatams, which we are moving forward, working every day on finalizing all of the details to get these books printed and distributed across the world in celebration of Prabhupada's great achievements in spreading Krishna consciousness to the living entities in this Kali Yuga world of complete bewilderment. Hare Krishna. Let's have the chanting of Hare Krishna in the Kirtan for 2.5 minutes. Please stick on and chant along. And then the closing comments and move on with the rest of your day. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Let us offer our respectful obeisances to all the assembled Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanibhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances. We all offer our respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord who can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like desire trees, and we're full of compassion for the fallen souls. Thank everyone for participating in this enlivening program, the discussion and reading. We invite everybody to join us tomorrow morning for the Srimad Bhagavatam. Thank Vishwakarma Prabhu in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, Nilesh Shyama Prabhu in Miami, Florida, and his lively comments and always very pertinent questions. Rochisa Mataji in Montreal with a wonderful picture of Srila Prabhupada just behind her head. I don't know if it's behind her head or manifested for her good heart, but it's always very sweet to hear. Krishna Katha Prabhu in San Diego with his ever emphasis on publishing the Srimad Bhagavatam, Vijay Pandit Prabhu in Italy, Gopika Mataju, Bhakta Zoran and Chaturbhuja Prabhu, and Bhakta Ran in India, Nepal, or Sacramento. I don't know exactly where he is now, but always enlivening to see all of you.
Goramani, not Chaturbhuja.
Oh, Goramani, Hare Krishna Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Come va, come va?
Bene, grazie.
Molto bene, molto bene.
Bene, molto bene.
Very good. So we invite everybody to come. We invite everybody to come tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, corresponding to 10 o'clock Florida time and Eastern Canada time. And all of you, may you be blessed by the attraction for Srila Prabhupada and his wonderful teachings. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama.